And let us start in the Bellator side of things. Bellator 281, MVP versus Storley, the main event, of course, being Michael Venom Page taking on Logan Storley. Before we get into the main event, are there any other fights or fighters that you guys want to spotlight for our listeners and viewers?
I'll highlight a few things quick. I'll try to run through them relatively quickly. One is that we have Paul Daly on this card in what was supposed to be his retirement fight. He was supposed to fight Andrei Koreshkov. Koreshkov has since fallen out of the fight, so Paul Daly is now fighting Wendell Giacomo in his Bellator debut. So I don't know if anything has changed. I'm assuming this still is Paul Daly's retirement fight, just going out against a much lesser name than planned. But if it is, he will likely be going out in front of the London crowd with a knockout. So not a bad way to go out. Next is Denise Kielholtz against Kata Watanabe. Kielholtz is the uncrowned Bellator champ in a lot of people's eyes. A lot of people had her beating Juliana Velasquez in her last fight, whereas Watanabe got starched by Liz Carmouche in like 35 seconds, and Liz isn't exactly known for starching people. So I think Bellator is very much hoping that Kielholtz gets this done to give them a few more options at the top of that flyweight division, and I think she will. And then lastly, you have Lyoto. I was hearing it suggested that this may be his last fight, but then I just saw an interview with him right before we started the show where he said he's still hoping to get back to the title, so I guess that rumor was off. But it's Lyoto Machida against Fabian Edwards. Bellator maybe trying to give the rub here to their younger guy in Edwards who they've been trying to build. I personally still think Machida may be too much for him, but we will see. And, that brings us to the main event.
Okay, so in this main event of Bellator 281, we have Michael Venom Page taking on Logan Storley in the Bellator welterweight division. Of course, Logan Storley, the American, the younger at 29 years old, and the much shorter, standing at 5 feet 9 inches tall compared to MVP's 6'3" frame at welterweight. Storley will be making his 15th walk to an MMA cage as a pro, and his record stands at 13-1, with his only loss being to Yaroslav Amosov. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Probably not.
Yes. The champ.
Right. Which he lost that fight by split decision, his only loss. Michael Venom Page really needing no introduction to MMA fans. The Englishman, he also has a record of 20 wins and just 1 defeat as well. That 1 defeat, of course, coming at the hands of Douglas Lima by knockout. Since then, though, he has rattled off 6 wins under the Bellator banner, and he was bringing in that win streak against Logan Storley. So, Mark, let me throw it over to you first. What is your take? And ultimately, give us your pick on this fight between Storley and Page.
So you guys may be surprised by this because I was. Logan Storley is a large favorite. I thought he might be favored.
Oh, really?
He is minus 300. MVP is plus 230. I thought Storley might be favored just simply because of the wrestling, but that big of a favorite is wild to me. I will be sprinkling MVP for sure. But, yeah, I'm really so interested to see how this fight plays out. Obviously, this was originally supposed to be MVP's title shot against Yaroslav Amosov, which I think would have gone badly for MVP, but Amosov is off fighting in Ukraine, so we get Logan Storley and an interim title, and it could still go badly for MVP. But at least he has more of a chance here, in my opinion. I do understand why Storley's favored. Simply speaking, style-wise, Page can be out-wrestled. Logan Storley is a tremendous wrestler. And when you have that type of advantage, you can generally dictate the fight. I know we saw Storley's striking on display in his last fight against Neiman Gracie, but there's zero chance he does anything besides wrestle when he's standing across from MVP. But I'm really tempted to pick MVP for a lot of reasons. One is that he has a 6-inch height and 7.5-inch reach advantage, and those are huge numbers. And numbers like that give MVP a chance to hurt Storley on the outside on every reset. Anytime Storley is not yet inside on MVP, he's in big danger because that's a big discrepancy. 2, MVP has disgusting jumping knees, and breaking down him against the wrestler, all I can think about is MVP hitting a jumping knee when Storley shoots. 3, MVP is fighting 20 minutes from where he trains, and the crowd support he's going to have is going to be through the roof. Plus, it's a huge spot for Logan Storley that he hasn't experienced yet in his career, and it's on short notice. And 4 is that MVP hits stupid hard. I mean, just look at Derek Anderson 2 fights ago. The guy was 17-3-1 through 21 fights, never been finished. And MVP hit him so hard that even though he wasn't out, they were like, no, that's enough of this. It's too violent. Like, when you have that kind of power threatening you for 25 minutes, it's really hard to stay clean. And I'm going to take a shot on the apparently big dog here and say that Storley doesn't stay clean. He'll be winning rounds with his wrestling. Maybe there's one scare early on where he gets clipped, but he survives it. But I will say by like round 3 or 4, he gets caught bad again with something, either a range strike or maybe a knee on his way in, like I said, and then it puts him out. So I will go MVP by KO.
Whew.
Round 4 to become the interim champ.
Oh, baby. Omar, what's your take? What's your pick for Storley versus Page?
I don't pick against Michael Venom Page. Just that won't happen anytime soon. I love Michael Venom Page. I love everything about him, from his corny ass finish things to get viral hits like the Pokemon thing and the Infinity Gauntlet. All that shit I think is hilarious. But at the end of the day, the kid in the cage he's a phenom, man. His skills are astronomical. His striking is so goddamn good. His ability to put on a show while staying safe in the cage, I think, is something to really admire, because it's not something that you find very, very often in any combat sport, let alone MMA, something that's so dynamic that could change at any point, right? It's not like boxing and stuff like that where you kind of know what's coming. But yeah, I love Michael Venom Page in every single one of his fights. Even in the Douglas Lima fight, I thought it was just, he fucked up. You know what I mean? I don't think Douglas Lima necessarily is a overall better fighter than Michael Venom Page like that. But I think it was 2 great fighters that got put in the cage together, and Michael Venom Page got caught. But I think in this situation, I think people are expecting Page to get overrun by the wrestling, and I don't think people are giving Page enough credit for his wrestling defense. With that being said, I'm totally aware that he got taken down for 3 rounds or 5 rounds by what's his name? Why do I always forget his name when I talk about this specific thing? He's fighting this night, retirement fight. We were just talking about it. Paul Daly.
But he won that fight.
What happened?
MVP won that fight, though.
Did he?
They were taking each other down, but MVP grinded it out. It was an ugly wrestling fight, but yeah.
Well, there you go then. There you go.
Yeah.
I could have swore he lost that fight. I guess that fight was terrible regardless. But
it was terrible.
But yeah, man, I don't think people give Michael Page enough credit when it comes to his ground game or his ability to stay standing. I think should be more accurate. I think Logan's going to have definitely a tough time because there's going to be a lot more length to work with, even when it comes to the takedown defense. There's a lot more frame that MVP is going to have to work with, a lot more distance that MVP is going to have when he posts up on his head to push down, coming off of the takedowns. I think he's got a lot more leg to work with when it comes to the strength of his legs and being able to pull him out from Logan's grip. I think there's a lot more benefits to Michael Page's game in this specific situation than a lot of people I think are really considering. I will definitely be going Michael Venom Page. I will be going with him by KO round 2.
Wow. Gentlemen, we are unanimous in this underdog pick because I also love Michael Venom Page. Ever since he came on the scene, I've been like, this guy is a guy to watch. So I will also be going MVP by KO. I'll also go in the second round with you, Omar. I'm going to say he's going to land some Michael Venom Page, like vintage shit, and Logan Storley is going to kiss the canvas for the first time unconscious in his career as a pro. All right, gentlemen, let us now move back over to the UFC side of